5 to 6. It was such a terrific bang. And when I looked out around, the forward part of my ship was gone. It disappeared. I lost 160 shipmates and only 52 of us got off. But I was a destroyer. Out of the 3 of us, he was the only one that got killed. Had they known at the time what it was, they could have saved their men. It was mustard gas.
Welcome to the Debrief. Today my guest is extremely special to me for a number of reasons. He's the oldest person I've ever had on the show. In fact, he joined the senior service in April of 1943. John King, how are you, buddy?
I'm all right, thank you.
Good. And look, thank you so much for taking your time to come on.
You're welcome.
So the way this is going to work today, John, I'm going to talk to you about everything you've ever done, about your childhood, and it's called the Debrief. So I'm going to debrief you as John King today. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so John, look, listen, let's go back right to the beginning. When were you born?
I was born in Scott Street, Bethnal Green, London.
Green. And when were you born?
11th of November, 1924.
1924. So you are 100 years old.
Yeah.
You're gone 100 years old.
Yeah,
You're over
just
100
turned,
years old.
Just turned.
Did you get your thing from the King?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
Did the Queen sign it as well?
Yeah, both of them signed it.
Nice.
And a photo of them on the front.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah.
Superb. So things were really different back there. What was your what sort of family were you born into here?
Well, we weren't you call a close family.
Right.
We were a family, and I lived in London till we moved out to London when I was about 5.
Okay.
And then me nan and granddad, they still lived in London.
Yeah.
So it was only every now and again that we met up.
Okay. What did your parents do? What did your mum and dad do?
My dad, he was a lorry driver for the London North Eastern Railway.
Okay.
And my mum, she used to work at a place called Westovers, which used to make the Hessian sacks, which they used to, in them days, load potatoes into.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Right, okay. So did they stay together? Was it a happy family? Did you have brothers and sisters?
Oh, yeah. And I'm the oldest one.
Okay.
I've got a sister, she is 95.
Wow.
And a younger brother, he's dead now. But what happened with him, his daughter, she developed cancer and unfortunately died.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I think he just gave up.
Yeah, just didn't want it anymore.
No.
Yeah. No, it's not a nice thing.
So he died quite a few years ago.
So being brought up in those years, what was it like at school? What was what was school like? Was school strict? Was it hard? Was it tough?
It was fairly strict.
Yeah.
And you had to do like your lessons, and you had homework, and if that homework wasn't done, you had to do what they called 100 lines. I must do my homework. You had to write that 100 times in your own time.
So did you enjoy school though? Were you good at school?
Yeah. When I went into the seniors, I played for the football team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you like your football?
Yeah, I did then, but I don't like it so much now.
You were saying, no. So let's just talk about football quickly. In the day, who was your team? Did you support a team?
Yeah, West Ham.
And did you go and see them play?
And the other one was Arsenal. No, because in them days, money was, we never had pocket money or anything like that.
So you couldn't afford whatever it would have been to get in to watch West Ham.
Oh, yeah.
You followed them. You obviously you couldn't even watch them on telly in them days, could you?
No, it wasn't no telly. It was only a radio.
So what did you get? The radio or the back of the newspaper?
Well, yeah, even the radio. If the what they call the accumulator run out, you had to take it down to a shop and have it recharged.
That's a game now, isn't it? It's a totally different world now. What did you do as kids in your own time? What did you do in kids? Because nowadays kids are all computers and, they play games and...
Well, ours was out in the street, hopscotch and knocking down ginger. We used to try a bit of string or a bit of black cotton to a knocker,
Yeah.
and I'd round by the evergreens, this was when I lived in Dagenham, and pull it and wait for them to come to the door. And they called that knocking down ginger.
Yeah, would they knock you down if they caught you? Would they?
Oh, yeah.
Come after you.
You got a clump off of them. I mean, even the police then, they used to have their cape, a waterproof cape. They never had no waterproof coat,
Yeah.
just a cape, and it was rolled up in like a sausage.
Yeah.
And if they caught you doing anything wrong, you got a whack round the head with that.
So you got a clump with a cape.
Oh, yeah. And then, in them days, you were frightened of the police.
Yeah, I'm sure you were, especially
Not
if you was
like
going to get a clip.
Yeah, not like today.
No, they're not bothered today. They aren't generally bothered today, are they? Which is, it's a completely different. That's what I'm saying. The contrast between when you was a kid to what kids are now is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Well, if you see a policeman then, you was on your best behaviour.
Yeah, or on your toes.
Yeah.
So you got through school. Did you go to college or anything like that?
No. I left school when I was 14.
Okay.
That was the name of
was the
leaving
age.
school.
Yeah.
My dad got me a job in a big printing firm which was called Waterlow's.
Okay.
And I was working there. I went there as a messenger boy, first of all. And I finished up on the printing machines.
Yeah.
And this was when the war broke out in September, and the 3rd of September, and I was 16 in the November.
Okay.
Well, my friends, they were doing the demolition work, and they were getting good money.
Yeah.
Well, I was only on small money at the time, and I said to our printing foreman, I want to rise all my cards, not knowing anything about unions. So he said to me, you can't have a rise. So I said, well, I'll have my cards then. So he gave me my cards. And when I went home, my dad went spare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He said, I've got you a job at a printing firm.
Keep hold of what you had in them days, wasn't it, I suppose?
Yeah. And anyhow, I messed about then, different little jobs and that. And I wanted to go in the Navy when I was 16.
What made you want to go in the Navy?
I like the uniform.
Yeah. It was smart. I mean, we have got a picture which we'll show in this video of you
I've got one
in
here.
the day with you. Yeah. Let's have a look at the one you got there quickly. We will show this, but I find it fascinating, John. Yeah, there you go. Superb. Yeah. You look smart as a carrot. Proper smart. There you go. How old were you there?
I was just turned 19.
Wow. So anyway, the uniform, the look had an attraction to you. Did you know you were going to go to war?
Well, yeah, because when I was 16, the war had been on a couple of months.
So there was no chance you was going to be swerving the war. You would definitely, if you join the Navy, you are going to go and go and see action.
But my dad threatened me if I wanted to join the Navy. He did threaten me, and in them days, your parents ruled the waves.
Yeah.
And
so what did he threaten? What did he say to you?
Well, he threatened to tow me up the Harris.
Yeah. If you want to join, he was going to give you a clout, basically. If you joined
and
up.
I'd have been out, you'd
have been ostracised from the family.
Yeah.
Right, that's it. You join up.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with you.
Well, when I was 18, he couldn't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Because it was the government law that at 18, you had to register, have medicals, and if you was fit, you went into one of the services.
Yeah.
And I was lucky, really, because I went up from medical, and they asked what I would like to go in. And I said, Navy. Well, I was lucky, because the fella I went up with, who lived down the same road as I lived, he was behind me, and he had to go into the army. So I was lucky there.
Yeah, you're lucky to get your choice, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, your results dictate to a certain extent, but, And
one thing about the Navy, although I gave the preference, they said that you are all volunteers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they got you that way.
So, you're not press ganged here, you were a volunteer.
No. The only thing was that which I got, and I was surprised at it. And I I didn't volunteer. We were in our training, and we were in line, and the name was called out, step forward, one step forward, and my name was called, so I'll do one step forward out of the ranks. And they said, oh, you are all blood donors.
That's it. No choice in that one. You are a blood donor.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go through the selection process. You go and sign on. You get the Navy, which is what you want. Where did you go then?
Well, I went to Collingwood, and our training, normal training in the Navy at that time was 2 years, and you done everything, semaphore, steering and everything.
Yeah.
Our training was 10 weeks.
Because they're trying to get you through to get you out to fight.
Well, you learnt the rest when you went to sea.
Yeah, of course.
You learnt the hard way. And
what was your job? What was your role going to be in the Navy? What was your job on ship? Or what were you...
Seaman. My role was on the main armament guns.
Okay.
4.7 guns.
Okay, so those are these big. You sit behind a 4.7, don't you?
They were the big ones. Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so you presumably learn how to use that.
Yeah. I was what they called the sight setter on there, and you followed all these instruments because the director was directing where we were going to fire, and the machinery was transmitted down to these instruments, and you had to follow them all the time to make sure that your guns were lined up all the time with them instruments.
Okay. What were you shooting at? Other ships or aircraft or land? What was your main sort of like objective with the guns? What were your targets?
Well, anything.
Could be anything. Okay.
Yeah, whatever we could find, which we found quite a few bits.
Yeah.
Which we'll come to.
We will do, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So you spend your time in Collingwood, you're learning this, you're learning that. How did you find the training? Did you enjoy the training? You only had 10 weeks?
No. First of all, in the training, you done a few knots, and you had to go over this rigging, and they come down the other side with your gas mask on and all that.
Yeah.
Do like small arms training, rifle training, and then for the main armament training, we had to go to. It's called HMS Excellent now, but we knew it as Well Island.
That's right, down in Portsmouth. That's right. I know Well Island. I've been there the other week actually.
Yeah. Well, when you you marched from Portsmouth Barracks, and when you got to the bridge at Well Island, halfway up across the bridge, from there on, you doubled everywhere, and that was the bit that made me think that. I don't know, I think I'm going to do a runner. But I didn't.
You didn't do a runner, no, far from it.
And when I spoke to one of the petty officers, because they were, to me, they were, well, I can't say what I'm thinking about them, but they used to bark at us and do this, do that, So
it's very harsh environment, very sort of like authoritarian.
Oh, yeah.
Do it now.
And I thought, well, if that's the Navy, I want to make a quick exit. But when we got on the ship, and I said to one of them, when we was at Whale Island, I said, you was a lot different there to what you are now. He said, we had to be. He said, you were rookies. He said, and you had to be brought into serving like military command
so they
straight
needed to
away.
break your back, really. They needed to get you...
Yeah.
And in a hurry as well, because like you said, you didn't have 2 years, you had 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
And you were off to face what you faced.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you get any time off? Did you get to go out in Portsmouth? Did you go for a bevy in Portsmouth or anything like that? Shout, as they call it down there?
Well, we weren't in Portsmouth all that long because we was in the barracks, and then we got what they called this draft chit.
Yeah.
And it was to go up to Wallsend Slipways at Newcastle and join a ship.
So you went all the way from Pompey, all the way up to Newcastle. How did you get up there?
By train, yeah. And the train was packed because there was other service people going up there, like the RAF and that.
Yeah, getting off all over the place, I would imagine. Changing and people getting on, people getting off.
Well, when we got up there, it was a complete new ship's crew because what used to happen there if a ship was going in for repairs or boiler clean or gun barrels changed or anything like that, they took the old crew off. Just left a small skeleton crew,
Yeah.
and then they what they called recommissioned. Well, we recommissioned, and it was a complete new crew, so we had to go through everything, going to sea, firing at targets and that, torpedoes, making sure that they were all lined up.
And of course, on a ship, there's a drill for absolutely everything. A drill for fire, a drill for
Oh,
casualty,
yeah,
a drill for this, a drill for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
many drills that you've got to learn, I suppose,
Yeah,
on a new ship.
Well, for different sections, like the main armament, we learned just about the guns.
Yeah.
And then the torpedomen, they learnt about the torpedoes and the depth charges and that. And you had the different bits, like the stokers, they learnt about, went through all the routine of these boiler rooms.
Yeah.
And different branches had to do different things, like, you know.
Yeah, no, I've been on a ship recently. Actually, they're amazing to see them working. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
see everybody, the whole thing sort of like works together, doesn't it?
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the one purpose, which is the ship. So you're up in Newcastle.
Yeah, and we commissioned there, and then I think it was about in the October we got, because we were never told anything,
No,
because they didn't know whether there were spies on board or anything like that.
so
I mean,
as they say, loose lips sink ships.
yeah, and there used to be signs up on the wall, walls have ears,
Yeah,
and so we left Newcastle and went up to North Shields, and we ammunitioned up there, because when you go into dry dock like that, all the ammunition has to come off,
yeah.
and we re-ammunitioned and that was hard work. And then
So what's that? Just pallet after pallet after pallet.
yeah.
And what, you didn't have the cranes and the trolleys and the
Oh, no,
conveyor
no.
belts. It was
Yeah.
all man packed. Wasn't it?
Yeah. So, anyhow, then we went down to Falmouth and had to have all our compasses lined up. And we left Falmouth, and to this day, that song will stick in my mind. And I think it was our second lieutenant's favourite, and it was called Jealousy.
Can
left
you give us a blast of jealousy?
Yeah, they played it over the tannoy,
Right, okay.
and we left Falmouth to that.
Can you remember the song?
That was it, Jealousy.
Okay, yeah, I know I'm getting you to sing it.
Yeah.
Can you sing it? Do you know any words? Do you know it?
Well, there's two or three different words. What's names to it? I know a little bit of it. You know, jealousy was all over my jealousy. The heartache I cost you, no wonder I lost you, was all over my jealousy.
Wow.
But there's two or three different versions.
Okay, and they played that over the tannoys when you were departing Falmouth.
Yeah. Well, the next thing was...
Did you line the decks and all that sort of thing?
Pardon?
Did you line the decks when you left the ports and all that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah, you lined the decks, and if you were the junior ship, you had like a bosun, and you had the whistles, and you all stood the attention, and the captain was on the bridge, all the officers saluting and that.
Yeah, amazing.
And then prior to all this, when we was up in Scapa Flow, that was a bit I forgot, we vitalised and everything else up there, took extra potatoes and bread and everything.
Yeah.
Where are we going now? Well, we finished up at a covering force going up to Spitsbergen.
Okay.
And I think if any of the U-boats had seen us, I reckon they'd have laid low. There was 7 destroyers, 1 battleship, 1 cruiser, and an aircraft carrier.
Wow. And what was your ship? What was yours?
I was a destroyer.
Okay, yours was a destroyer.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
Yeah. And we were covering force for them taking supplies up to Spitsbergen.
Wow.
And sorry to say, I never washed for a week. It was that cold.
Really? Proper cold.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, anyhow,
And
that was
was that your first time at sea proper, was it?
yeah.
So your first proper time at sea, it's like proper cold, which is obviously you had.
Well, we've
more-
been out doing exercises like
Yeah, but this
before.
was like operational.
Yeah,
Now you've got
yeah.
a job. Now you're being told we're doing this.
Yeah. So And then, as I say, like going back to when we left Falmouth, and we went into Gibraltar, and then the next thing we put to sea again, and we was escorting a troop ship full of troops, and we could see wrens on them and everything else,
Yeah.
like, you know, and a floating dock, which was going out to the Far East. Well, we got out into the Med, and it was all hands to action stations because they had these glided missiles. And yeah, lucky enough, we got past that. Left them.
Hang on a sec, right. You brushed that off like, yeah, gliding missiles.
Yeah.
So you've got stuff that's coming for you out of the sky.
If they, yeah.
You're now on your gun. I'll take it you stood to, you got your aprons on, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You're ready to go. How old were you then?
Well, I was like just turned 18.
So that, come on, you must have felt a little bit of that. Do you know what I mean? Did you?
Yeah, but funny enough, I mean, you most probably experienced it yourself. When the adrenaline steps in, you don't care.
No, it takes you to another level. It takes you're more focused on what you've got to do as opposed to how you feel.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Is how I describe
Yeah, well,
it.
that was the same with us. Like.
Yeah.
But fortunate enough, we never met no planes out there. So we got them out, and then we spent Alexandria, spent Christmas in Alexandria.
Okay.
Well, the next thing was...
did you get ashore there? Did you get a run ashore?
Yeah, went into... We had our dinner in what they called the Fleet Club.
Yeah.
In Alex. And then after that, we left again, still not knowing where we were going.
Tell us a little bit about your mates. Are you forging really good friendships on here now? Because you're sort of like you've spent a lot of time with the guys, with this crew now.
Yeah. There was actually there was three of us, which were quite good mates.
Yeah.
And one of them was very superstitious. We weren't allowed lighters on board because of the fuel. So all we had was matches.
Yeah.
And he would, because we used to get cheap cigarettes, duty frees, I mean, we used to pay sixpence, which is today's money, 2.5 pence, for 20 senior service. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we was at sea, we were allowed 2 packs of them a day.
Wow.
And when we was in harbour, it was just 1 pack.
Okay.
But then on top of that, for once a month, we could get what they called a pound of tobacco, which was called tickler. And that was half a crown, which was today's 12.5 pence for a pound of tobacco.
Wow.
So, I encourage you to smoke.
Yeah.
Well, anyhow, going back to these two oppos of mine, one of them would never have the third light. If we lit a match, he would blow it out and he'd have his own, another match for a light. Out of the three of us, he was the only one that got killed.
Really? How did he get killed?
When the ship got sunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're going to come to the ship getting sunk in a minute.
Yeah.
So you're down, you've had Christmas, you've had a couple of runs ashore, decent runs ashore, good few wets.
Yeah.
A few wets and you've had a half decent Christmas then.
Yeah.
So you put back to sea. Where'd you go next?
Well, we finished up in Italy, in Brindisi.
Okay.
And that was on the very hill of Italy. And then we started every other night, we would go out after dark and we would go out to sea and then come back in behind the enemy lines and fire whatever we could find and see.
Wow.
Well, what happened there, we went up to Ancona.
Yep.
And that was a big port. And we fired torpedoes into the harbour there. Well, they got our range pretty quick, So we done a scarper out of there, a bit lively.
That must have been quite exciting, really.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because are you being told at this stage, right, we're going to go around here, we're going to target these ships?
No, we didn't know nothing.
You didn't know nothing. So you're like, right, wherever we go, as soon as he says pull the trigger, I'm going, bob, 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 bob. That's me.
The only way we found out after was one of our signalmen, who we called bunting tossers, because they was on the bridge and they knew.
Yeah.
And
so they're giving you the...
Yeah. So, having the headphones on to the transmitting station, I got told off because one of these shells, I heard it go over, I was like, oh, blimey, that was near. And the next thing, I'll get a call from the transmitting station. Please do not communicate with anything like that on your phone because we're down below the waterline. Yeah.
Yeah,
And funny enough, that petty officer, and I've just been in contact with one of his great-granddaughters. She's found clippings now, this is after 80 years, that her great-uncle or great-great-uncle, whatever he was killed when the Janus went down, and it was this fella, Petty Officer Ball. So I've contacted her, and I have sent her a few paper clippings.
Wow. Did you tell her you got a telling off from him?
Yeah. I didn't tell her that bit, though. But we come back from Ancona, and at that time, Jerry, he used to use these schooners to bring supplies and that down to his front line.
Yeah.
And we were the first two British destroyers, two British ships to go the furthest behind the enemy lines. And we see these two schooners, and we sunk them, and never picked up no survivors because they wouldn't pick us up.
No, I get that. With your guns, was that the slightly smaller gun?
Heavy armour.
Give them a proper.
Yeah. Then we went down a little bit further, and we could see this glow, and it was a steam train, and you could see the firing of it, like, you know. And we opened up on it, and all of a sudden it went. We assumed, well, we found out after it had gone into a tunnel, and when it come out the other end, we got a direct hit on it.
Wow.
And the explosion on it must have been carrying ammunition. So then we scarpered back home. But then, as I say, every other night we used to go out and do these patrols.
Were you getting a bit of trigger time every time you went out? Were you sort of like getting some rounds down every time?
Oh, yeah, you got a trigger finger, like, you know. Then we were shifted then round to the other side to Naples.
Right, okay.
Well, every other night there, we used to go out on what they called an E-boat patrol. And we used to go round the Isle of Capri. We used to have these little small depth charges, just throwing them over the side, just to frighten the U-boats off. And then prior to that, we went out and we found out after that the troops was trying to get by the what he called the Gothic line, and that was a line the Germans right across Italy.
Yeah.
Well, we went up to this Gigliano River, and we was firing broadsides there to try and clear the other side so the troops could get across. Anyhow, we done our job there and put back to sea. One was at sea. We seen one of these amphibious ducks, which was like a floating, floating, what can I call it, boat that could go on sea.
Yeah, one of those ones that runs around London now with it painted yellow now. Do you know what I mean? I know the ones you're about, yeah, go on.
And anyhow, we got it alongside and it was full of our troops. So the scrambling nets went out and getting them in board, like, you know. And we found out, or I found out, that they were the Seaforth Islanders. So I've got hold of this jock, as I thought, and I'm pulling him in. I said, come on, jock me. And he said, I'm a Cockney. But, so anyhow, talking to him, and I said to him, how comes you so far at sea? So he said, we went down to do the landings. He said, and we got in this American amphibious duck. He said there was a coxswain and an engineer, one a driver and like the stoker.
Yeah.
He said, and they were both half drunk. And got halfway across and run out of fuel.
So they've been drifting.
Yeah. So, and he said, and we had a rookie officer just come out from UK, and he said, come on lads, get your rifles and use them as like the butts as oars. And they told him politely what he could do.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So anyhow, then we as I say, we was in Naples, and we could see something was building up, and you could see all these landing crafts and everything. Anyhow, we put to sea with them, and this was the 21st of January, 1944. Anyhow, when we get up there, we didn't know what it was. We found out after. Was the Anzio landings. So it was us and our flotilla leader, the Jervis, and that ship was the luckiest ship I know in the Navy. Wherever she went, whatever damage she had on her, she never lost a single shipmate.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was on the wrong ship. So, anyhow, so we've gone up there, and between us, we fired over 500 rounds of 4.7 shells to clear the beach. And
So the troops could go on and land.
yeah, apart from that, it was all the rocket ships and everything else.
Yeah.
The bigger ones.
I mean, that must have been such an impressive sight. You know what I mean? All that gunfire going in on the beach.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? That must have been a real...
Yeah. And then the next thing I knew was this was on the 23rd, about 6 o'clock at night, because what we used to have to do was what they called a dusk and dawn action stations.
Yeah.
And as you know, that is the worst time.
Yeah, like a stand to and a stand down, like a soldier would stand to and stand down on land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And come this about 5 to 6, it was such a terrific bang. And when I looked out around, the forward part of my ship was gone.
Wow.
Yeah, just disappeared. And I was on the stern.
What went through your mind when you looked at that? You must have thought, because that's one of those things like, you know, something's majorly wrong, but did it register straight away? You're like, there's a bit missing.
Oh yeah. It was
yeah.
like, oh blimey, like, you know.
Yeah.
And of course then there was no every man for himself, like abandoned ship, because all the bridge got killed barring for one fella.
Really? So
Yeah.
a torpedo, I'm taking it. This is a torpedo's hit you.
Well, I thought, I've always assumed that it was a torpedo.
Right.
But I've read paper clippings since, and they reckon it was a glided aerial bomb.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's how it
Which
managed
is
to...
the self-same clippings.
Yeah.
I've always been under the impression that I lost 160 shipmates and only 52 of us got off. Well, the paper clippings say that there was 140 shipmates killed and 80 of us got off. So who's the one? Is it my what's name or the papers? I don't know.
Well, I think it has to be yours. You were there. The papers weren't.
Well, yeah, true. So, and our flotilla leader,
Is that what you lost? So let's just round it up to your figure, 150 plus
yeah,
in one hit. Boom.
yeah.
So just talk us through that. So where were you when this thing hit?
On the stern gun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're manned on the gun.
Yeah.
As
yeah.
that's your stand to position for the night.
Yeah,
You're on the gun.
Yeah, we had to fire a few shots at them.
Yeah.
Because apparently, what I've been given to understand since was that he sent about 50 planes over.
Okay.
Because the complaint was, well, where was our fighters? Well, apparently our fighters was up, keeping the troops clear so that they could advance.
Yeah. So your ship's been whacked.
Yeah.
When did you know? You obviously hear the boom, they hear the bang.
Yeah.
You look round,
and the front, the forward part was gone.
So what are you thinking now? So now that's a major action now, and what do you think? What's your part in this now?
Well, to get off the stern, because the stern was going down. Yeah. We were going down with it.
Really? Was it noticeably sort of like? It's literally.
Oh yeah, it was just going down, and you could see it was up in the air like that. When we jumped, and
so you know you're going to have to go for a swim.
Oh yeah.
And could you swim?
No. I soon learned.
How are you feeling now? You're like that, right? I've got to get in. I've got to get in the Ogden. I've got to get in the Ogden. You can't swim.
Well, we had an half tube, like a motorcycle tube. That was our...
a rubber ring?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got a rubber ring?
Yeah.
God bless the Navy.
So I thought, at least that'll help. But Had I known at the time, and it wasn't like a panic because I had a duffel coat on, and I thought, well, if I'm going to jump in with that on, I'm going to go down anyhow.
So you start rip it off.
Yeah, and the ship's still like the stern's still going down, and me and another fella, he we jumped off the side as it was going down like that. We jumped off this side.
Right. Okay.
Had we have thought about it, and which I did after, the other side we could have walked in.
Yeah, because obviously at some stage,
Yeah,
it's going down, isn't it? Yeah.
But when I looked up, I could see the propeller.
How high was it when you jumped in? I mean, what sort of height?
About 18 foot.
Okay, so yeah, not mega, but still mega enough.
Yeah. And I could see the propeller going round and coming down on us.
That must have been really eerie. I mean, scary as well.
And I said to him, come on, we'll have to get away from this. Well, lucky enough, there was one of these little cork floats.
Yeah.
And that went by, so we grabbed hold of that, and then we dog paddled, got away from it, and one of the big Cardi floats went by, and we tried to get hold to that.
Yeah.
And eventually we got to it, and one of my shipmates, his leg was hanging out at the back, and in panic, I thought, oh, if I grab his leg, I can get nearer. And he just let out such a horrible shout. And I didn't know that his leg was broken. So anyhow, we, the Jervis, and funny enough, she'd got her bowels blown off. And she picked us up. And
how long were you in the water? So there's obviously other ships in the area at the time.
Yeah, only about an hour.
Yeah, so you're not there for ages and ages.
No.
How many of you were still alive in the water? Was there other stuff in the water? Some of your colleagues were obviously killed during that action.
Yeah, I didn't never see any of them.
No.
But, I mean, most of them
went down with the ship.
Must have been blown to pieces.
Really?
Because wherever it went, this bomb, whether it hit the bridge and went right down to the engine rooms, but the explosion, I would have thought that it went between A gun and B guns magazines.
Okay, so that causing another explosion.
A lot up.
Yeah. And obviously, anybody down that front end of the ship at that time is.
Well, there was one fella, and sorry, I was really amazed. He was on one of the forward gun things, and he went down with it, and the force of the water blew him back up again.
Really?
He was lucky.
Yeah. So you get onto this other ship. How are they towards you? I mean, are they sort of like...
Oh, yeah. They gave us that because what we used to do there, if we knew we were going to do any action or go into action, or even when we went to sea looking for trouble, we had to wear overalls because our blues, they found that the dye out of them, if you got wounded, the dye caused gangrene. Typical.
an oversight. That's incredible.
Yeah. So we had to change into overalls. So all it was like you had like your vest on and your pants and these overalls. And my boots, I don't know if I was psychic or what, but when I was on duty on the ship, I would never, ever lace my boots up because, I had it once. I was donated when we was up in Scapa to go boy jumping with another leading hand. Well, the skipper, he hit the buoy and we went in the water. And that my boots felt like ton weights. So from that day...
You thought if I ever go in the water again, that's it, they're coming off.
Yeah.
Straight away, I'm going to boot them straight off.
So that's
I don't like swimming with shoes on, actually, to be fair.
No.
Yeah.
So that's what I done. I had my boots on with no laces in. And we got up back on the Jervis. And that is the best night's sleep I've ever had. Because when I tied it up, we'd been in action without any sleep for about 72 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Stood to, same position.
Yeah. And then
Did all your mates off that gun survive with you that day? Did they all?
Yeah, the old guns crew, yeah. And we went into Naples. And that night, in Naples, they used to have these canisters on the side of the road that when there was going to be an air raid, that they would light these up and all the smoke go up in the air, like a fog. And of course, we never had no gas masks or nothing, never had nothing. So we're choking. Well, what I done, on this suit that this Matlow gave me, I tore the pocket out of it, and there was a little, like a pond there. Wetted the name and holding it up to my mouth, and it did help. And then we finished up in Malta, and that's where I finished up a dry land sailor on a landing craft repair base in Salina.
Did you say when you ended up in Malta? Was that where you finished off? With the
yeah, I finished my time in Malta.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you get up to there?
Well, had a few jobs. I was the messenger boy, taking all the messages round, and then I finished up as a quartermaster on making sure that no one came in who shouldn't have been there and that.
Yeah.
But one bit I missed, going round the other side, we went into Bari after these bombardments round that side to re-ammunition.
Okay.
And when we went in there, it was a big seaport, Bari, and there's all these masts sticking up out of the water. And, what blooming hell's that? Anyhow, it came out 70 years after, one of the top secrets, that had they known at the time what it was, because they were picking the men up out of the water, all burnt. And they lost over 1,000 men, merchant men and that there, with these ships that got sunk. Had they found out at the time, they could have saved them. But it came out and Churchill warned the press and the radio not to mention a word about it. Had they known at the time what it was, they could have saved their men. It was mustard gas.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
What did you think of Churchill? What did you think of Churchill? I know people make a lot of politicians today and people don't like, or they do like, or they don't. What did you think of Churchill then?
He was a good man for where he was during the war. He was a warmonger.
Yeah.
And
he understood war, didn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, that Chamberlain, load of rubbish. He would come back with a bit of paper. I got a signed thing from Mr. Hitler. There won't be no trouble. His troops was in Poland and he's waving the paper, hasn't he?
Yeah. Did you think that most people who were serving at the time appreciated that Churchill was the best man for the job?
I think myself, if it hadn't been for him, well, me, you, we wouldn't have been here.
No.
Because what Jerry Hitler wanted, he was going to make all these German men with the fair-haired women of England, kill all the men off and everything else, and create what he called an Aryan race.
And this puts it into perspective how important it was what you actually did back then and why it's so important for me to document this, on a personal level. Because what you did basically paved the way for what we are now.
Oh, yeah.
Without that, you lose. We're not here. We're not here talking like this now.
No,
you lose. We're not here talking like this.
Oh,
if
he'd have
you're
killed.
Here at all, do you know what I mean?
The likes of me. I mean, you wouldn't have been here anyhow.
Yeah.
No disrespect.
No, of course not. No, none taken.
But the likes of me, he'd have just shot us, which he was doing in the concentration camps. So, it was a job that had to be done.
Yeah. And that's the way you looked at it, was it? You just like, we need to do this. I've got to be part of this machine, and no matter what job I get, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the war finishes, when you finally realise, you get the pipe through or whatever you got to say, it's over, it's done. How did you feel then?
Well, at the time, I was just glad to get home, get out of the war, meet my family, which I hadn't seen for 3 years, and then get back to trying to do a normal living.
And what was a normal living there for you?
Well, just going to work, coming home, having a fag, go down the pub. And
Were you
go out.
married? Did you have married kids, anything like that?
No, what happened there, I when I came back from service, like foreign service, and we got what they called demobbed. But first of all, I got foreign service leave, and that was, I think it was about 28 days. Well, my cousin, but I called him he was my cousin, but I called him my brother, and I often hate to think what my parents went through at the time. His family got killed in London, in Bethnal Green.
In the Blitz?
Yeah, he got five of his family got wiped out.
Yeah.
His mum and his dad had died of cancer a little while before. And his 4 brothers and sisters got killed. He was the only one that was alive because he was doing the fire watch on what they called a mission. And he had the opportunity either to come and live with us, which there was me and my brother and a sister, or going to live with an aunt who was a little bit toffee-nosed, who only had a daughter. So he came to live with us. So although he was my cousin, he was my brother. He's 18 months older than me and got called up in the Navy. And at that time, because a lot of the merchant ships were slow, they used to put gunners on them, Army or Navy gunners, and they called them DEMs, defensively equipped merchant ships.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was on one, and they never heard from him for a long time. Eventually, they found out, I don't know whether it was from him or the government, that the merchant ship he was on got sunk. And he was in an open boat for 7 days. Lucky enough, they was out in the warm. They was near Trinidad. And then the next thing, they hear my ship got sunk. So I often wonder how they felt knowing that 2 of their family had got sunk, you know. But there you are.
So you come home. How was life back then? How did you feel? How did sort of like did you find another job easy enough?
Well, what
Did
it
people
was,
want to employ you?
what it was, the government had issued a warning and a message to all employers of men that were called up. By law, they had to take them back. So I was on a mate on long distance transport.
Okay, so they honoured that and took you back, did they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What about your mates you served with? Did you? Because obviously you go home. He could have come from here. You know. Did you meet up? Did you sort of like see each other again?
No, I see 2. One, he lived at East Ham.
Yeah.
And one of the others was when I was on the transport. I see him at Smithfield Market. But you never, at them 10 times, it never entered my head to keep communicating.
Well, you didn't have the communication. You didn't have Facebook. You didn't have a phone. You didn't have this. You
No,
didn't have
no,
that, did
no.
you? None of that. What we've got today.
No, it'd been all by writing, like, you know.
Yeah.
So, that just went by the board.
When you were away on this trip, because you said you was away for 3 years.
Yeah.
Did you have any contact with people back home at all?
Only what they called an airmail.
Okay.
And that was like a paperback thing. And even that was what they called censored. An officer on your ship read that, or if you sent a letter by airmail, they read that before it went. Because you couldn't give no details
of where you were, what you'd done, what you'd seen. I mean, obviously, and you were out hunting people down and behind enemy lines.
The only
and all that
way
sort of stuff.
our mail, like from home, was they called your name on the envelope, your service number, the name of your ship, care of FMO London.
Yeah. And
that's where it went through. Fleet Mail Office at London, and then they sent them out.
And it would come to you, you'd get it all.
Yeah. And wherever you went, they knew the next port that you were going to land at. And they'd send the post there, and our postie, one of the shipmates called Postie, used to go and get the mail.
Yeah. So, did you struggle at all settling back into civvy life?
No, not really. Glad to be back.
Yeah. Do many people have? Because we talk about mental health now, and mental health is taken really seriously now. It is. They've identified. Was there much mental health problems with the guys?
No. Not I know of.
Nobody was talking about it. Nobody was.
No, mind you, I would think that the Afghan war and Ireland and that was a lot more to do with your mentality than what World War II was. So, but, I mean, all right, we fired all them shells. I never knew how many Germans we killed, how many civilians we'd killed, because we never see them.
You never saw it. No.
The likes of you, hand-to-hand fighting, you see what you was doing.
I mean, a lot of troops have, a lot of troops have been face to face with the enemy, literally.
Yeah.
In a room smaller than this, like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I do get that. What do you think about what you fought for then? You've said to me earlier, I fought because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was the right thing to do, because otherwise you were faced with the alternative, and that was to be under the jackboot.
Yeah.
For the rest of your days if you made it that far. Now you look at what society has become now. How do you sort of like correlate the sacrifices that your era made into what's happening now? How does it make you feel now?
Very poorly. Very poorly. With the way that things are today,
Yeah.
not only with like the services or anything, but in general.
Yeah.
What you fought for has just gone.
What you fought for, what you and your comrades and the people that didn't come back, and your cousin and your brother.
Just gone down the pan. And, well, I don't know whether I should say this or not.
I want you to say it. I want the message out there, because I think it's extremely important that people realise the sacrifice that you made and your generation made. And to see how people conduct themselves nowadays, I would feel very aggrieved and very bitter about that. I really would.
I do. I feel bitter about the way Britain has gone today. It don't belong to us now.
No. It's a real, it is a real shame. And I think the only way that it will ever change is if people acknowledge that change and acknowledge and learn about the sacrifice that you made and appreciate. I appreciate what you did. I absolutely appreciate it. But I think nowadays you look at some of the schools and some of the ways, not so many people are affected by it now. So if they're not affected by it, they don't care anymore, do they? Whereas in your day, every person in London had a connection to the war, whether it be from a doodlebug coming through their house to them having a member of their family actually lost in the field.
You're all mucked in.
Yeah. But now people, they almost distance themselves from it. They don't see it. So if you've been there and seen it, you'll understand it. But if you haven't, they're blinkered to it.
Well, there's one thing I like now. I know it's late in life, but they are learning, the school children now, about not only World War One, not only World War Two, World War One, and all they're learning.
Yeah.
And I've been to 2 or 3 schools now that they ask you different questions. One of the questions, a little black boy asked me, "Did I get killed?"
I mean, you say that, but kids play these computer games nowadays where if you get killed, you just live on.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So in his own mind, he's probably thinking, well, he might have got shot, but he'll be all right. He might have got torpedoed, but he'll be all right. You know what I mean?
And that's one thing I like about the going back to the taxi charity for military veterans.
Yeah, they do it. Let's just talk about the taxi charity. So when did you meet the taxi charity?
I must have met them now. Got to be about 14, 15 years ago.
Tremendous charity.
I had tried before that, but it just got to so far and got blocked. But this particular time, a fella, a shipmate of mine in the Royal Naval Association, which I belong to at Dagenham, he contacted one of these higher-ups, and then I got invited in. Well, they started taking me out. I think the first place, I think the invite was, first of all, to go to the Netherlands. And I said to my next door neighbour, who is a very good friend of mine, I feel as though I'm a cheat. So he said, why? So I said, well, I wasn't in D-Day landings. I said I wasn't even in the fighting in Netherlands. So he said, you was doing your bit during the war in Italy. Because what Churchill said was that we will hit Hitler in the underbelly in Italy, draw all these elite troops down to the Gothic line to stop us from going any further.
Yeah.
And it weakened D-Day.
Boom, in you go, back doors open for you.
Yeah.
So there was an MP or some woman who called you D-Day Dodgers or something ridiculous.
Yeah, Lady Astor.
Lady Astor, you couldn't be further than from a D-Day Dodger. Do you know what I mean? You were there. You were in combat. You were doing your thing.
Well, yeah. Mm.
And as Churchill quite rightly pointed out, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost a diversionary that you've created down in
was,
Italy,
yeah,
so that
yeah.
you make it a softer target for the guys, you know, who've got to fight down that end. So yeah.
And I mean,
she couldn't be further from the truth with that statement.
What she seemed to forget, that a lot of them D-Day Dodgers had come through North Africa.
I've never heard this D-Day Dodger thing before, and it absolutely horrifies me that anybody would disrespect somebody from your era who made the sacrifices that you made, whether it be in Italy, on the beaches, back home, because people were still making sacrifices back home. In an effort for what happened.
Yeah. Mm.
D-Day Dodger.
Well, if you look on Google, D-Day Dodgers, because it's now made into a song, and you sing it to Lily Marlene.
Really?
Yeah. And he goes, we're the D-Day Dodgers out in Italy, always drinking vino and always on the spree.
I think we need to reverse that one. I'm going to engineer something here. I can feel something coming on the counter there. I really can. I'm not having that. I'm not having it. I'm not having that.
Yeah, and it's quite... And there's a fellow out of the army, he wrote it and made it into a song.
Wow.
Yeah. But it's quite good.
He's done a good job with the song, but I disagree with what he's saying, because you were all doing your job, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, Lady Ashworth.
Oh, no, it goes on like, we landed in Salerno, a holiday we pay. Jerry brought the band out to clear us on our way. He gave us cakes and he made us tea, and all the beer was duty-free. Yeah. It goes right through it.
Right, follow the link in this, because I'm putting this up somewhere. I'm definitely putting this up on our channel somewhere. I'm going to follow the link. Poor old John's going to have to sing the whole thing.
How do I know? And I've got it printed out. I could have brought it up for you. But you can
print it together. Maybe we'll try and turn it into a Christmas number one or something.
Yeah. You can find it on Google.
I will, yeah. I should definitely have a look. Yeah, 100%. So listen, look, just quickly, you've been through a lot in your life. You've seen a lot. You've said that there's an enormous amount different today from what there was yesterday. What would your message be to young people of today? What would you like to tell young people today? What would you like to say to them? What would you, if I said you got 20 seconds to tell the youth of today what you think, what would you say?
Well, I think for today's generation to show a bit more respect to the elder ones.
Yeah.
I mean, even to today, if you handed me that cup, then I would say thank you.
Yeah.
If you held that door open for me, I would say thank you. You hold that door open for one of the younger generations, and they walk past you and not say a word.
Yeah. Manners don't cost a thing, do they?
Yeah.
Manners cost nothing. My mum used to say that. Manners cost nothing.
It doesn't. No.
They don't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And I think, the definition of the word respect was also defined by your generation and has been lost by today's generation. They don't understand what the word actually means.
Well, it's deteriorated in a lot of ways. I mean, at dinner time, we're always at a table.
Yeah.
What they do now, in a chair, watching the telly with a little plate in front of them.
Yeah.
And we weren't allowed to leave that table till we were told to.
That's it. And you emptied your plate. You probably washed up.
If you didn't empty your plate, you had that the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And help the washing up. Saturday, we all had jobs to do. I had to clean the knives and forks, and there was no toilet rolls at that time, and it was a newspaper cut into little squares with a hole punched through them, a bit of string, and held up in the outside toilet. Yeah.
Oh, it's so far your world from the world that's being lived today.
Yeah. But I do admire the Netherlands and Normandy for how they're teaching these children, the younger generation.
I saw it at Arnhem this year. The flower children who all not just stand by a grave, they learn about the man who's in the grave.
Yeah.
And they can tell you what his name was, where he came from, who he served with, where he died. Mm. They're learning it. They're actually.
Have you been out there?
I have been out there. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think it's very important for me that you go out there and you see this firsthand. The being done now. This is not 50 years ago either. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking right now.
Oh, yeah.
These young children are giving the same level of respect as what you learnt. Mm. And I think it's marvellous to see.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, and touch wood, on the 6th of May this year, in the Netherlands, I think it will be one big celebration because they do appreciate being liberated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they also understand the gravitas of what would have happened if what you did wasn't done.
Yeah.
If you hadn't have done what you did, we'd be living like I say, we wouldn't be here. Not only would we not be here, the people that were here would be having it completely different.
Oh, yeah.
And that could all change the other way now. Do you know, if we don't keep hold of it and we don't do...
go under the table.
Yeah, it can be lost.
Yeah.
It can be lost.
Yeah.
And it'd be a lot easier to lose it than what it was to keep it.
Oh, yeah. Well, a lot of the appreciation is I met him at, I think that was the Netherlands, and his name is Rob. He is a Dutchman, but he comes over to England to watch. He's a Chelsea supporter. Oh, and he grabs hold of me. He's a big fella like you, and he grabs hold of me. And there was him, and the other one. He used to be the chief of the militaire, and his wife. And for my birthday, they came over from Holland to my birthday party.
Wow.
5 of them. Rob brought his wife over and his daughter. And his daughter, I met her when she was about 10. And that was at one of the cemeteries. Because one of the cemeteries we went to was the German cemetery out there. Mm. And although it's not the German cemetery, it's in Germany, but it's for all the Allied troops that was killed in Germany, like the airmen and that.
How do you feel about the Germans? If you were at war against them, you refer to them as Jerry. You said that. How do you actually feel about them now?
To the generation today, I can accept them.
Yeah.
But when I look back, and this was a bit I never told you about when we was at Anzio, that generation killed part of my family, and also, apart from sinking two cruisers, 2 destroyers, and this is at Anzio, and the bit that really annoys me, they sunk a hospital ship, the St. David. Now, that had wounded troops on it.
Yeah, and it would have been marked up as a hospital ship as well. It would have been marked up as a hospital ship. You couldn't mistake it. You couldn't go...
a big red cross on the top.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And it was one of the only ships around there that would be lit up with all its lights on because we had to have a blackout. Everything was blacked out.
Yeah, so this thing would have been a shining beacon.
Yeah.
And they mullered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wrong. That is wrong.
With injured men on board, which couldn't do anything for themselves.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them couldn't. And 2 nurses went back on to try and get some of them off, and they lost their lives.
Brave women.
And that is in there all the time.
Yeah.
But as I say, the generation today, the run of the day servicemen at that time were being, which we were forced to do what we had to do.
Yeah, and you weren't even being told really what you were doing. You were just told, there's your gun. When
well,
you say what
most probably
when
done
that phone
the
goes,
same.
you shoot at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got nothing against them, but he most probably not here now. The pilot of that plane that sunk that hospital ship. The other ships, all right, we were enemy.
Yeah.
But they weren't enemy because if there'd been any Germans injured, they would have seen to them as
they would have been on there and all. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No. Funny old world.
Yeah.
It is now.
Just before we go, just quickly run me through your medals. Tell us what your medals are.
Well, that one is for 6 months of active service. It's 3945 star.
Yeah.
That's the Italian star.
Yeah.
That's for my service in Italy.
Yeah.
The third one is the Defence Medal.
Yeah.
And I joined the Home Guards when I was 16. And that one is the Victory Medal.
Wow.
And then that side, I wear them as a respect to my fallen comrades. All them. Yeah. Which is my medals.
Yeah.
But that's for them.
That's for them because like you said, 150 odd didn't come back off the one ship from you. And that's that is the sacrifice. It's been an honour to have you on here. I've loved that. Have you got anything else you want to tell people before you go?
I think that's about the lot.
This is your audience. This is your debrief. This is your time.
No, I think that's about the lot.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Right, listen, we're going to get some.